Hello, hello, and welcome back for another adventure in the cookie jar. Today we're doing the second recipe from the Seminole Murder. They are Cinco de Cacao cookies, chocolate avocado. It is just a quick little cookie recipe. It does have a couple of notes. Joe Fluke's note, Devine Mainwaring came up with the name for these delicious cookies. The Cinco refers to the 5 main ingredients: avocado, butter, flour, eggs, and sugars. The cacao refers to the other main ingredient, chocolate. I know that Cinco is really spelled C-I-N-C-O, but I couldn't resist a little pun since these cookies are so sinfully delicious. It's got Hannah's first note. If you cut the 1 ounce squares of chocolate in half, they'll melt faster. In a second note, I covered my cookie sheets with parchment paper. It was a lot easier. In his third note, I'd say that Cinco de Cacao cookies are so rich that nobody can eat more than 1 or 2, but the last time I took a baker's dozen, that's 13 cookies, to Granny's attic as a special treat for Mother and Carrie, they finished them all at lunchtime and asked me for more. So we are baking these right away, so preheat the oven to 350. You're going to want half a cup of salted butter, 1 stick, 3 1 ounce squares unsweetened chocolate, 3/4 cup white sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar, 2 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a cup of mashed avocado. That's 2 medium or 1 very large avocado. I think I got it in just about 1. 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup semi-sweet or 60% cacao chocolate chips. So, with that being said, like I said, it's just a quick throw together cookie recipe. It does say you're supposed to get about 4 to 5 dozen delectable chocolatey cookies that taste silky, smooth, and rich. That being said, let's get started. Is everything for our cookies today. So the first thing that we want to do is take our chocolate squares. They say if you break them up, they melt faster. And we're going to melt this in the microwave on high for 2 minutes. Okay. So I forgot the butter. I just put the chocolate in for 2 minutes. I noticed it after like a minute and 20 seconds. And I pulled out the chocolate and I tossed in the stick of butter. And it's just kind of melting in as I stir it. And everything looks nice and combined. So no fatalities there, thankfully. And everything looks ready. A couple more chunks of butter just need to get mixed in, which I'm sure with the ambient heat of the chocolate, it should do that quickly. But we look nice, we look glossy. I'm going to move on. Don't forget to add your butter to your chocolate. So, next we're adding the sugars, the brown and the white, until they are a uniform light color. Now it says to add the eggs 1 at a time. And next is the vanilla. The salt and the baking powder come next. Just make sure there's no lumps in your avocado. I put mine in a food processor, but it didn't really work very well. There's still a couple little bitty chunks in, but for the most part, it seems smooth. I'm just going to add the avocado. When your chocolate that you microwaved is not hot enough to cook your eggs, it says to add it in. I'm just going to drizzle it. Now we're just going to slowly add the flour, a little bit at a time. All right. Once we have all of the flour in, we are done with the mixer. You can still see a couple of specks of avocado where it wasn't quite mashed all the way. But I'm not going to worry too much about that. Our last step is the chocolate pieces, semi-sweet or whatever, above 60% mix you're looking for. I'm not a big fan of dark chocolate, so I just did the semi-sweet chips. I just want to get those mixed in nicely. So an interesting point before we start scooping is that it says that you are going to want sprayed parchment paper, silicone mat, something for that. But it says Bake them for 13 to 15 minutes or until the cookies feel dry when lightly touched on the top. Be careful doing this, they will be very hot. If the very top of the cookie feels dry, take them out of the oven immediately. Like brownies, you don't want to overbake them. Mine took exactly 14 minutes. Let them firm up and finish baking for 5 minutes on the cookie sheets and then move them to a wire rack. So it is definitely one of those watch them cookies, but it is nice for them to tell you if they feel dry on the top. So I'm just going to get us cookies scooped up real quick. There we have our first tray. I'm just going to scoop up the rest and we'll see how many we get. We have our cookies scooped. We got 5 dozen, which is 60 cookies. They'll bake for about 13 to 15 minutes. We'll see when they get done. Here we have our cookies all baked. So these smelled terrible while they were baking. They don't smell bad now. Now they just smell like chocolate. But I was concerned, like heavily concerned. But I'm not a fan. They're not bad, but I don't know. They're off, or something's missing, or there's just a flavor. I don't know. It just doesn't sit right in my tongue. They are soft, they are silky, they are chocolatey, but there's just something slightly off about them. I don't know if there's something missing or it's just the avocado throwing me off, but I personally don't think I'll eat them. My kids might eat them. I'll take some to work. This is not something I would make again. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just not an avocado in my desserts person. But next week we are making a Butterama cake with a brown butter frosting. If you're interested in seeing that, join us next week. I hope you all have a good one. Bye, guys.